Well, we do the numbers every day, almost, it seems. Unemployment up, down, national, Rhode Island, where do we stand? Or let's get the latest from the man who runs the unemployment office, though they call it the Department of Labor and Training, Matt Weldon. Welcome in, Director.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I was on unemployment years ago, maybe 35, 40 years ago. Have you ever been on unemployment?
No, sir.
No, so you've never had to file?
Never once.
Now, I remember when I did, it was a pain. You had to go into the office, line up, you had to have your slips. Where did you go looking for jobs? That's not that way anymore, right?
Well, it's still a pain, I'm sure. If you ask the people that interact with us, it's kind of like the post office. It never stops.
Yeah.
It's getting better. And no, it's not like that anymore. You don't do it in person. It's all done on the internet or over the telephone if you can get through.
Do you still have to show where you were looking for work, produce kind of proof?
Yeah, you have to show that if you're asked.
Right. Yeah, but do you ask? Because years ago, sometimes they were strict about that.
Sure we do. And we have been fairly strict, and we're also reasonable. Right. In different times, the labor market is more open and it's easier to get a job. At other times, like right now, it's a little tighter. And so, we make sure people look for at least 3 jobs a week. But we're reasonable. We're trying to make sure they can get their benefit.
By the way, unemployment is not a giveaway. You pay into that. Your employer pays into that. It's insurance. It really is, correct?
That's right. Employers pay based on payroll.
Yeah. Right. Now, what's the cap? What's the top unemployment check you can get if you happen to be on unemployment?
Right now, it's just about $1,000 a week.
About $1,000 a week.
If you add in the dependents and everything else, the most you can max out.
Right. And what's the minimum?
Well, there's no minimum. It's based on how much you have to qualify and have so many earnings. Well, the average check is probably about $560 a week.
So low end could be
$200-300 a week.
High end $1,000.
Around $1,000.
But that's dependent.
That's right. Every claim is different.
It depends on how much you were making too, and what kind of job you had.
That's right.
Unemployment up or down as you and I tape on a Friday?
Right now it's 4.8%. That's down. That's the June number. That's the latest data we have. That was down 1/10 from the May number. And over the year, it's up 4/10, so relatively steady.
Okay. By the way, sometimes I've had unemployment directors in, and they feel the need to defend. It's the numbers. It's a numbers game to you.
That's right. We report the numbers. We collect it and we report them.
You're not going to make comments on unemployment, the economy in Rhode Island, why it happens, what's going on, or do you want to wade into that?
If I'm asked, I offer. I'm a pretty candid individual, but I think my job is to collect that information every month and to put it out there and let other people, economists, policymakers, make their own decisions.
Well, since you're here, I'll ask. Where are we?
I think, in New England, we're always going to be on the higher end. Southern New England, Connecticut, Mass, and Rhode Island usually are a little bit higher than Northern New England. Our economies are different, our populations are different, but we've held steady. Over the year, being up 4/10 is pretty much no movement at all. We've been under 5% for a long time. Mm-hmm. One thing that we used to say in Rhode Island is that when economic downturns happen, Rhode Island would be first in, and we would suffer through and be last out. When the pandemic happened, we actually accelerated our economy coming out of the pandemic, but way before Connecticut did, and actually before Massachusetts did. And since then, we've been relatively steady. Mm-hmm.
Now, I had you on the radio several times, a couple of years back, when we had the scandal going on with unemployment cheating. By the way, they caught me. They reported me as out of work. Imagine that, and you too. And then there was the persistent complaints about the phone lines. People couldn't get in. Let's take the last one first. Can I call you? Can I get to your people, or do we still have backed up phone lines?
No, it's tough. The phones are always going to be a challenge. And one thing I'm asked a lot is, what's your wait time? And since I've worked at the department for almost 15 years, only 4 as director, I've always rejected the premise that wait times are a good measure, because, to be honest, you can manipulate them. I could change the way the phones work to get the times to be less, and that doesn't really represent how challenging it can be to get through. So what I tell people is, try to do everything online if you can. Call early and call often if you have to, and on our website there is a form where you can request a call back. The only thing I ask is that people please answer the phone when they do that.
Okay. Now, why am I calling you to begin with? If everything's online, why would I have to call the unemployment office and be frustrated if it's ring, ring, ring? Why?
Well, the first thing is, since the pandemic, we put in a lot of tools to be able to deal with the fraud issues. Every single state in the country dealt with massive unemployment fraud. That was an internationally focused and arranged scheme. Every state had to deal with it. Unfortunately, when you do that, you put some traps in to catch people, but sometimes you catch good people. So you only have so much time to be able to answer questions online.
Okay.
And if certain factors are present in your claim, you have to call. And when you have to call and talk to someone, that can get difficult. We're getting better at it. We're putting new process in. Every day we get better, but we have a long way to go.
Well, why can't you just solve this? I mean, this is 2025, artificial intelligence, phone banks in other countries. Why can't we just say, you call, we'll pick up? Why?
It's complicated. Right now, there are probably 20 people that work for me that answer the phones.
Okay.
They're entirely funded by the federal government, and that funding's not really reliable. The state doesn't contribute to unemployment insurance administration. Some states do. Rhode Island doesn't. We've held our taxes low. In fact, we reformed the tax system in the last 10 years. Rhode Island's unemployment taxes are relatively low and they're stable, and our trust fund is very healthy. But I can't use any of that money to pay staff. The federal government pays for the staff.
Is there something that precludes you from asking Speaker Sakarchi or the governor for a couple of $1 million to hire more phone workers?
No, and we do, and a couple million might get me 20 people overall.
Double it? Yeah,
it might get me 20 people, but it needs to be sustainable. And every year I'd have to go back and ask for another couple of million, another couple of million. In the past, the federal government has come through. Right now, they're kind of choking off the funds, and we're hoping that they open the spigot pretty soon.
Is artificial intelligence going to change that? And by the way, that leads us nicely. You've been appointed to the governor's, what's the correct title? Commission on? What are we talking about?
Artificial Intelligence Task Force.
You're on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you welcome that? Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to add our voice and to think about the impact that it could have on Rhode Island's workforce, not just mine, but every employer in the state.
Well, is artificial intelligence the answer to your phone problems?
I don't know.
It's so good now.
Perhaps, and I don't know, and we don't know enough about it yet. And I'll tell you this, the state is not using technology in many places that's ready to adapt brand new technology. We're doing a major project in one of our units, not unemployment, and we had some funding for that. And that's going to take us from like 1960s and 70s technology to probably 2020 technology. Right. That's a big leap. And it doesn't happen that easily, so it's a big lift.
What are you running on your computers? Cobalt, Fortran?
We do run.
Stuff I learned in the 80s?
My entire unemployment system is based on a 40-year-old Cobalt system.
You got to be kidding me.
Well, if you're looking for extra work, you can come on by and help us out.
My wife has a degree in computer science from 1982. I'll send her over to help you. She knows Cobalt and Fortran.
And actually, a lot of those old mainframes they even use in large banks today still use that technology.
You've got to replace that, though.
Absolutely.
What do you want to go to? I mean, cutting edge?
Well, you want to go to low-code, no-code technology, and I work with the state IT director, Brian Tardif, who's great and has a great vision for how we move forward. The problem is it costs money.
Okay, now let's talk about the scandal that happened. The scam. I got a notice I was unemployed.
Sure.
This was right during the COVID. Everybody got hit. I was on a boat with a couple of doctors and a bunch of restaurant owners, and they got hit.
Yeah.
And I said, it hasn't happened to me. Sure enough, the next day it happened to me. And it happened to you, and it started in Rhode Island. Isn't that what the state police said, that they traced it? It started in Rhode Island?
Well, it happened all over the country, so I don't know.
It did happen all over the country, but the genesis of it wasn't here. I remember Colonel Manny telling us that.
It happened in Rhode Island to Rhode Islanders. It happened at the same time all over the country. So I don't think this was a Rhode Island thing that all of a sudden spread throughout the country. And here's what happened. We've had big national breaches in the past from big companies, not from DLT, not from the state of Rhode Island. Think about places like Target and one of the big credit bureaus.
Right.
All of a sudden, that information is out there. And your personal information, including your social security number, are out there on the dark web. Bad guys buy it for very short money. They use that to pose as you, put a claim in, and the system reads it and believes that it's you and processes the claim.
All right, so make this simple for me. What happened to me? How come I was on the boat, I came off, and I got a notice, a letter?
Because
Thank you. You're unemployed. You should sign up. You're unemployed.
Somebody had your social security number.
Where'd they get it?
They probably bought it off the dark web for a penny.
Oh, wow.
And then they use that information.
Since you're the cyber, you're beyond the cyber task force. The dark web. What is that?
I have no idea.
Would I be able to find it?
I hope not.
No,
I mean, to me, that's my understanding is it's a area where people that want to do nefarious things, can get into those things in a place where they're not easily traced, and they can buy things like social security numbers.
So you have to know how to get on it first, and the average person doesn't.
You and I probably don't know how to do that, and that's a good thing.
You get on it, and the social securities are on there. You buy them, you said, for a penny?
Short money, yes.
And then you use it, and you beat me to the unemployment line and put my, okay.
That's right. And remember, during the pandemic, the federal government told states, hey, the unpaid waiting week that you have, we should get rid of that. We're encouraging you to get rid of your waiting week to get benefits out to your communities quicker. So what happens when you expedite claims, set up systems to move and give green lights to everything, and all of a sudden somebody has your information and poses as you? A computer believes it's you. There's no other, it goes to a national database and they check the box. And all of a sudden, Gene has a claim.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's right. And we've gotten much better since then, but unfortunately, sometimes you're fishing for a fluke and you come up with something else.
Interesting. Matt Weldon runs the Department of Labor and Training, the Unemployment Office. You don't mind we call it the Unemployment Office,
That's right.
You?
And we are the Unemployment Office.
You are. All right. Thanks for coming in.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.